Hey everybody, how's it going? So I got this film requested by two people. One just requested this film straight up, and the other gave an option of this or The Conjuring, which both directed by James Wan. And what a career this guy went on to have, man. I mean, the Saw franchise, the Insidious franchise, and then the whole Conjuring universe movies and everything, the Annabelle films. He went on to have some career, but we're talking about 2010's Insidious. Now, I've seen this movie when it came out. I've seen it maybe once or twice after that. It's good. I like it. Like, I don't love it, but I actually enjoyed it a lot more on this rewatch, for sure. Like it did more for me this time watching it, which is why I love rewatching films because sometimes I'll just have the film that I watch that will not hit it for me in the ways that I wish it did, and I'll rewatch it and I'll say, why didn't I like that before? Not like I said, not that I didn't like this movie, but like why didn't I like it as much? So we have Patrick Wilson, who is a great actor, but he just plays Patrick Wilson like in every film he's in. Like I don't think he has that big of a range as an actor. He does fine in everything he's in. Everything I've seen him in, he does a great job. But he's always playing Patrick Wilson. If I can think of one performance of his that I think is excellent, it would be Hard Candy with him and Ellen Page, or Elliot Page as they go by now. Excellent performance in that movie. If you haven't seen Hard Candy, definitely check that out. It's a phenomenal movie. And this was written by Leigh Whannell, who was partners with James Wan creating Saw. And we also have Rose Byrne as the wife. What a gorgeous woman she is. Like, I haven't seen her in many other things, like at least horror, but what a gorgeous woman this Rose Byrne is. We have Barbara Hershey, who plays Josh's mom, and then we have Lynn Shay, who I adore. She is such a great actress. I've always liked her in everything she's in. Absolutely love Lynn Shay. So we have the opening credits with just the red Insidious with the music and the great. Love that. This movie really has some amazing atmosphere to it. Like, that's what I think is the biggest thing this movie has going for it. The atmosphere in this movie is so well done and so creepy at times that it's just, they did a great job with setting the tone for this movie and creating the creepy-ass atmosphere that they have in this film. So we have Josh and Renee, the husband and wife, and Josh is a teacher, and Renee is like a piano player who writes music and everything. And even when Rose Byrne's character Renee, when she wakes up at the beginning of the movie after sleeping all night and stuff, she still looks stunning. Like that's a little ridiculous, but I mean, she wakes up like a supermodel still. Like, and I just thought that was funny. And they just moved into a new home with their children, Dalton, Foster, and Callie, who's like the infant daughter. And nice little dialogue and stuff between Dalton and his mother, Renee, when they're looking through the family pictures and showing Dalton pictures of when she was younger, when she was a kid. And then he asks about, can I see a picture of Daddy when he was younger? And she said that we don't really have any. The pictures that they like go through in a few scenes in this movie is great foreshadowing, and just the way that they reveal later on about Josh not having his picture taken, not liking his picture being taken and stuff. Nice little touch they had there. Like I said, Patrick Wilson's performance is great in this movie. Like I said, I can never see a film with him that I think that he did a bad job. But like I said, it's just he's always playing himself. For me, like, to me, I can't look at him in a film and think of anything other than Patrick Wilson. Like, he's playing himself. But great performance though all around by him. They have a really nice house. Like they show the outside of the house and everything. Just an observation. Very nice house. So Renee plays piano, and that comes into play, I think, in like the sequels or something like that. The sequels I will be rewatching like probably in the next few days and reviewing all of them. The sequels I've probably seen less than this movie. Maybe like when they came out and then once afterwards. I remember enjoying them to an extent. So I'm curious to see what I'll think of the movies when I rewatch the sequels, because like I said, I enjoyed this movie a lot more on this rewatch than the 2-3 other times that I've seen this film. So interested to see what I think of the sequels. We have a nice little creepy shot of Renee in the attic. Like, there's some cool shots in this movie. There's some really creepy shots in this movie. James Wan did a great job with that. And even like his lesser known movie, Dead Silence, 2006, I think. Let's see how good my memory is. Somebody will look it up and say, no, it was this year. Whatever. I'm pretty sure it's 2006. But great movie too. I love Dead Silence. I think that's a great film, and that's something I'll definitely review as well. Dalton goes into the attic and he's like exploring the new house and everything. The sound design in this movie, excellent. Just like the creepy sounds and the way like the ghosts make noises and the demon, how he moves and walks, and just the sound is great in this movie. It really is. He ends up falling off the ladder and hurts himself, and parents come up and, you know, they're worried obviously and bring him downstairs. So Dalton ends up in a coma. And can you imagine this, man? I mean, having your kid, like, I'm a father, like, I can't imagine having your kid just inexplicably just end up in a coma, and the doctors say, I've never seen anything like this before. Like, he's perfectly fine, physically, mentally, everything. So we have no idea why he's in this coma. That's scary. Like, that really is. Like, what a thing to deal with for these poor parents. So 3 months go by of Dalton in the hospital, and then they bring him home, which, man, this demon has patience, dude. What a patient demon. He could have, like, Dalton was in this coma, so we're assuming he was in the further for the 3 months since he went into the coma. And this demon waited 3 months before starting to do his thing and enact his little plan to possess him. Patience, man. Demons, they get a bad rap. Demons get a bad rap. They're people too, in a way. Great use of the baby monitor, and Renee hearing the voices over it and everything. I mean, we've seen this before in a lot of movies with baby monitors and static and ghost voices over it, but they do it very well here. And again, I wrote down, like I said, the atmosphere in this movie is just excellent. He did such a good job with the atmosphere in this movie. And we get a knock on the door, and Renee sees somebody standing in Callie's room, and then the alarm goes off. There's so many cliches and things in haunting movies, ghost movies, demonic possession movies that we have seen so many times. Like, God bless Poltergeist, it's such a great film, but God damn you, Poltergeist, because you started so many tropes that are used so much that it's so tired at this point. Like, and that's another thing. This is just a small nitpick and something which I do all the time. I pick apart the stupidest little things, but ghosts just in these movies, they just always have to start out with just doing minuscule, stupid little stuff like stacking chairs and knocking on the wall or knocking on the door, or just standing there as a ghost and just to be there and then disappear. It's like they're in no hurry to like get the job done. Like, it's always, I've always noticed that. It's always been like a minor little nitpick for me in movies like this. It's like, I want to see a movie where there's like a family of 12 that goes into a new house, and immediately, like the first second night, one of the family members is a demon comes out and just, first night, fuck you, you're dead, and just kills them. And just the rest of the movie is just insane demon killings of the whole family, like a slasher demon movie or something like that. Maybe one exists like that, maybe, but I've never seen one. And if it doesn't exist, then maybe, I just thought of an idea for a script, maybe like a slasher demonic possession movie where we cut away from all the stupid shit that they do in the beginning, and stacking chairs and changing the time on the clocks and rotating pictures, and just all this for what? Like, and I know they say in a lot of these movies that it's they have to break the person down first and stuff before they can possess them. Yeah, that's all well and good, but I mean, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way to, just quicken this up and get the job done. Possess these people already. I think it's cute that we see in Josh's classroom on the chalkboard, there's a drawing of Billy the Puppet from the Saw franchise. Nice little touch there, like nice little reference that is not too obvious. Like, you have to be looking at that chalkboard to see it. But really cool that he put that in there. The bloody handprint that Renee finds in Dalton's bed, like with the long fingernails, the demon's handprint. Cool, really cool stuff. Renee thinks the house obviously is haunted at this point, and Josh doesn't believe her and says that she says that he's avoiding the situation and everything, and he says that I'm not avoiding, I'm just handling things in my own way. And she tosses him the sheets or whatever with the handprint on it, which makes him start thinking, I don't think my wife is making this all up. Like, she's definitely seeing some things. And that night we have one of the ghosts end up attacking Renee in the bedroom. And that's when she just says, I can't stay here any longer. I have to get out of this house. And Josh says, all right, we'll leave. We'll go to another house. And what a great husband, man. I mean, just to up and leave from a new house and move into another house because of things that he has not experienced or seen, but his wife says that she has. Very supportive. Like, I like their dynamic in this film a lot between Renee and Josh. They have a very nice relationship. They have a very good dynamic. I really enjoy seeing them act together and be together on screen. So we meet Josh's mother, who comes over, and the mother says, like, this I always, like, from the first time I saw this movie, she says that nobody, not me, not anyone, knows what you're going through right now. We find out later that she knows all about Josh's childhood astral projection and the old woman and everything like that. She knows all this. She knows Elise. So it's kind of fucked up, dude. You know what's going on with your grandkid, but you don't say anything until, like, later on in the movie. Like, wouldn't that be, like, very important information to, like, give them, your family, to help your grandchild? That was always stupid to me. Like, made no sense. Like, it's such a weird decision they did with that. We have the nice shot of the kid ghost standing in the corner as Renee walks by, and I love that. Like, the jump scares in this movie, they're good, but jump scares are used so much nowadays, and for the last 20 years at least, that they get so old and so boring and so predictable so fast that I really don't like jump scares in movies. It's not a way to create tension. It's just, but like slower burning films and stuff like Hereditary, for example, just how you see things in the corner of the screen, in the frame, and they let you find it on your own. Just and that's what this scene reminded me of because they didn't draw attention to this little ghost kid. They just had him standing in the corner and her walk by and he was in the side of the frame and it's just like a oh shit, there's a kid there. Like I like that a lot more than just your average jump scare where and especially the jump scares where it's not even anything threatening. It's just like a friend that bumps into somebody and just violins go wow and then can't stand that. It's so overdone that it has to be retired. Like most of these jump scares just have to be just retired from film forever at this point. And so the ghosts in so many movies love old songs that then become creepy later in the movie. Like in this film, for example, the Tiptoe Through the Tulips and stuff. It's like every ghost movie, not every, but like so many that I've seen has that creepy song or, the song that starts out innocent, then just becomes creepy later in the film. Another trope that it's getting really tired at this point. And she ends up seeing this kid ghost running around and then he jumps out of the closet. Cool little shot. That was a cool little jump scare. And Josh's mom says, finally, that she's experienced this before and tells her about a dream that she had that took place at Josh and Renee's new house here that they just moved into. And her dream was that she saw this demon with Dalton and that the demon wants Dalton. She says, what do you want? And he says, Dalton. So this demon wants to take over Dalton's body. Then in that scene, we get a great jump scare, actually, with Darth Maul coming behind Josh's head. I mean, the design of the demon in this movie, like, only in this scene, really. It's just, I always just look at and see Darth Maul's face. Like, I think they did not too good of a job with his face in that scene. At the ending, like when they're in the further and the demon's chasing him and he's got the hoofs for feet and the long claws and his face looked a lot better there. Like the makeup and everything looks much better in those scenes. I don't know if maybe because it's dark as hell like in those scenes at the end, so you can't see as much, which is great. I mean, the less you show of a monster or a ghost or a demon or anything like that, the more your imagination fills in the gaps and the more scary or creepy it could be. So maybe just having the demon's face pop out and it was in a brightly lit room, maybe that's what, caused it to look so weird and Darth Maul-ish, but I never cared for the look of it, but it is a good jump scare. Specs and the other guy. I never noticed in, like I said, maybe like this is the fourth viewing of this movie, plus the sequels I saw once or twice each. I never ever noticed that Specs is played by Leigh Whannell. I couldn't believe it. Like I noticed it on this watch. And I Googled it and I said, wait a minute. I said, that's fucking Leigh Whannell. I said, how have I never noticed this? It's got it because he has the big ass glasses and his hair's all different and stuff. But as soon as they walked in, like their entrance scene to the movie, I immediately looked at him and I was like, wait a minute. That's Whannell. Like, how? No way I never noticed that. And I Googled it, and yes, it's Leigh Whannell. So that blew my mind, actually, that I never noticed that. And they come in, and they're like paranormal investigators, and they work for Elise. They work with Elise, who's a psychic. And they go through the house, and like with all their equipment, looking for any type of signs of paranormal activity. And the other guy, I don't remember his name, not Specs, the other one. And he ends up using like the UV or whatever, changing lights to like filter through them. And then he sees like the two female ghosts. That's a cool shot. That's a cool scene. There's a lot, like I said, a lot of cool stuff in this movie. Like, I don't love this movie by any means, but like I said, I liked it the first few times I saw it, but I definitely got a lot more out of it on this rewatch. So I was actually very happy about that. So Elise comes in and she feels the evil energies in the house and stuff, and explains that Dalton is an astral projector, and that he's a traveler, is what she calls them, and that he's able to leave his physical body and float off astral projecting into the further, and that he's been doing it from a young age, and he's a very gifted traveler, and that's why he can't, now he went out too far into the further, and that's why he can't find his way back to his actual body. And the further, come on, I mean, they could have came up with such a better name. I mean, I can't right now, but the further, come on. It's like the other side. It's like, it's so like generic sounding. It's like they could have came up with a better name than that. I don't like the name the further. And she goes into Dalton's room and she has Specs sketching out on a pad what she's describing, what she's seeing, and she's seeing the demon right above Dalton's bed, and you get to see the drawing of the demon afterwards. Great stuff. It looks awesome. Great drawing. Like, it really is kind of unsettling when you see it. And Elise explains the further to them, and says that it's, you know, a place where the tortured souls of the dead are, and where they live and linger in like a limbo, and that they want to live again, and that's why the demon wants to possess Dalton, so he can inflict pain on others. So Dalton is this demon's prize that he needs to get into his body by the end of this movie. And after hearing all this, Josh just doesn't believe this. He said, listen, honey, to Renee, I gave this a shot. I listened, I sat here, I looked at the drawings, I did all this, but to come in here and use Dalton's condition to tell this narrative of an alternate dimension and stuff is just too much. And I agree with him. Like, at the beginning, like, when he really does not believe this at all, like, he has every right. Like, and he still says, like, Renee, I'm on your side here. Like, I feel like my son his condition is being exploited. And I can definitely see that side. I can see that argument. Absolutely. Like, who would believe this? Especially his character, because he hasn't seen anything that Renee has. It's all been her telling him what she's seen and experienced. He hasn't seen any of it. So of course he's going to be super skeptical. I can't talk today. Skeptical of all of this, because who wouldn't be unless they were experiencing it themselves? So we have the drawings in Dalton's room of the demon and a few other things and stuff that Josh looks at, and that's what makes him realize that, you know, this is true and that Dalton was drawing these pictures. How did these pictures get hung up? Who hung these pictures up? Come on. Like, they moved out of the house, they moved to this house. Somebody had to pin them up. Dalton's in a coma. He didn't do it. So that means one of the parents had to put them up, which means Josh would have seen these already if it was him, and Renee would have seen these and brought them right to Josh if it was her. That makes no sense. It makes zero sense. Completely, absolutely ridiculous. That just, I noticed that immediately. I said, just, who put these up? Like, they just moved into this house, this new house, after leaving the other one. Who put these drawings up on the wall? Totally nonsensical. So Josh ends up leaving now, and Elise comes back and performs this seance. Great scene. Very creepy, very atmospheric. The only thing I have to say about this scene is the stupid elephant trunk gas mask thing that Elise is wearing. What a stupid thing. Come on. They couldn't have came up with something better than like a trunk gas mask that hooks up to Speck's ear, and he has to write down everything that she's saying. Why does he have to even write it down? Like, he can just repeat the words that she's saying. I didn't get that either. Like, why did he have to write it down? He could have just listened to what she's saying and just repeated it. That's it. And stylistically is why, because we get some nice shots of, and it gets more intense and stuff the more that Dalton's saying things and Elise is talking to Dalton, and we hear the demon speaking, and they're writing that down, and Specs is writing faster and faster. Very good stylistically, but like, he didn't have to write any of this down. He could have just repeated what she was saying, and they all would have heard him, and they all would have understood what was going on. But a great scene all around, like a very good seance scene. Another favorite seance scene of mine is from Drag Me to Hell, Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell, and that's obviously a lot more ridiculous and over the top and Raimi-ish, because obviously everything that Raimi does has some crazy zaniness to it that just makes it totally over the top. But it made me think of that for some reason for that scene. And like ghosts start appearing at the end of the seance, and Elise just like banishes them somehow because she's psychic. And the demon behind Dalton on the camera, like when they see the pictures and stuff, cool shot. Elise and Josh's mother tell Josh finally that, again, like I said earlier, so fucked up that the mother did not reveal this information immediately when Dalton was in the coma for 3 months and Renee was saying about all this crazy paranormal stuff and supernatural stuff she was seeing. What a fucking... That's crazy to me. But they finally end up telling Josh that he was also a very good astral projector and traveler when he was young, and Elise actually helped Josh when he was around 8 years old, and he was being like trying to get possessed by this old woman, this ghost of this old woman. And every time Josh's mother would take a picture of him, she would see the old woman ghost in the background, and every picture she would take, the old woman would get closer and closer to Josh. Cool stuff. It's a great scene when they're showing the pictures and you see one by one how the old woman's getting closer to him. Really cool stuff. And like I said earlier, like the way that they were showing pictures at the beginning of the movie and saying how Josh doesn't like Josh's mother says, she looks at a family picture and says, I can't believe you got Josh to stay still for a picture. Like, great foreshadowing at why he doesn't like getting his picture taken. Very cool stuff. And the old woman used to visit Josh at nighttime, and he used to think it was a dream when he was a kid, and he used to be terrified of this old woman until the mom saw her for herself, and that's where she shows the pictures and everything. And then Josh has to basically go out into the further to find his son, since he's the only one who can do it, because he knows how he was an astral projector and a traveler back when he was a kid, but the memories were suppressed, so he doesn't remember any of this. The old woman, but Ellie says to him, you don't remember any of this, but in the back of your mind, you still don't like getting your picture taken to this day. Cool dialogue. There's so much good in this movie. I don't know why I don't love it. There's just some things that hold it back for me, but like I said, again, like I really enjoyed it a lot more this time. And this is one thing I have with a gripe I have with the movie. It's too long. They could have cut 20 minutes at least from this movie, and it would have been just as effective, and well, even more effective. Like when I was getting to like when Josh is first starting to go into the further, and I looked at the time, and I said, "There's like another half hour of this movie." Like I was like getting to the point of like, all right, like we're at the end scene here, and then I totally forgot how long it goes on for, and they definitely could have cut this movie down by at least 15 minutes or so, and it would have been fine. Like they definitely could have trimmed it a little bit. And great shot when Josh gets hypnotized to go into the further, and he gets up and he says, I can't do this, I don't remember any of this and stuff, and he looks down at the chair and he sees his body. Awesome shot. Really cool. So Josh is in the further, and right when he walks out of the house door, there's a lantern there. I don't know, a weird observation that I made. It's just like, did the ghost just leave a lantern for him because they said, shit, it's going to be dark in here. We need him to be able to see where he's going. Like, very convenient having just this blue lantern right at the door where he starts his journey into the further. Ridiculous. That just always struck me as weird. The look of the ghosts in the further, and just like that one ghost, the woman with like the smile and like the creepy stare and stuff, they're great stuff. Like the way that they make the ghosts up in this ending, the last 30 minutes or so of the film, really cool stuff. And they have the family of ghosts that shoot themselves and stuff. Really cool stuff. And he ends up finding Dalton finally, and we hear Tiptoe Through the Tulips, now in creepy mode. Like I said, how all these people, all these ghost movies do. And apparently they have record players in the further. I don't know. They do. He's listening to Tiptoe Through the Tulips, this demon, while he's sharpening his nails and playing with marionettes. So apparently the further has record players. And the same type of albums that they had in their house at the beginning of the movie. Very coincidental. His line when he says to Dalton, none of this is real, none of this is real. What? Like, the whole movie and premise of this movie is that this is real. What does that mean, this isn't real? Like, is he saying the further is not real? It is. Dalton's been there for months. And now Josh is in there. It is most definitely real. I get what he's trying to say. Like, it's like, this isn't reality, like, and stuff. I get it, but just I nitpick everything. So like, it was just something I just said, rolled my eyes at and said, what do you mean this isn't real? Like, this is as real as this shit gets. Like, right now, like, you're trying to save your son from a demon trying to possess him, and you're both astral projecting in this spirit world, an alternate dimension type thing, but this isn't real. It was just a weird line. I know it made me think, like, what are you talking about? And the demon, like I said earlier, like how he looks at the end of the film here, awesome. The way with this is, and he has the scene when he's chasing after Dalton and he's climbing on the walls sideways and chasing after him. What a great shot that is. Awesome shot. Look, James Wan did such a good job directing this film. He really did. With every film he does, I can't say a bad thing about his directing. In the Insidious movies, in the Saw movies, in the Conjuring universe movies, always great directing. So we get this stupid line. It probably is the most annoying thing in this movie for me, where Elise says to Specs, go check on Dalton. What? Go check on Dalton. What? Go check on Dalton now. Really? You had to hear go check on Dalton 3 times before it registered in your brain, oh shit, I gotta go check on Dalton. What a stupid line. I mean, come on. Like, I get that there's all crazy shit happening and supernatural stuff's happening everywhere, but really? You had to hear that 3 times and say what after every time, like you're not hearing her when she's screaming it, like, go check on Dalton. What? Come on, like, so stupid. It's such a stupid little exchange of dialogue there. So Josh and Dalton are escaping from the further, and Josh sees the old woman that used to haunt him when he was a child, and he ends up like banishing her by saying, I'm not scared of you anymore, get away from me. And she's very creepy how she looks, like the way they made her up and everything, very effective. And he sees the old woman, he ends up banishing her by yelling at her. Apparently you just gotta yell at these demons and ghosts and they go away. And they both wake up in their bodies, in their physical bodies, Dalton and Josh. And then we have the ending where Elise takes the pictures from Josh that were taken when he was a kid with the old woman in the background. And when she touches the pictures, she has this feeling, because she's psychic, and she gets this weird feeling that something's off. And we see a few minutes later that what she sees is the old woman's hand instead of Josh's hand. But we don't see that until a few minutes afterwards when they recap it, kind of. But she has this feeling, and she reaches down and grabs a camera and snaps a picture of Josh, and he just freaks out and said, "Why would you do that? You know how I feel about that. Why would you do that?" And starts choking her to death. And how does the rest of the family not hear this? It's not that big of a house. Like, even if it's a huge house, I mean, he is screaming at Elise, and she's screaming for her life, and she's getting the life choked out of her and stuff. And they're just like in the kitchen, like eating. And Renee's saying, like, cute little dialogue, like, "You're never going to sleep again. Like, I'm never going to let you sleep." That's adorable. But how they didn't hear Josh killing Elise, that's ridiculous. Come on. And we have Renee comes in and finds Elise's body and starts freaking out and calling for Josh. And then she picks up the camera and she sees the picture, and it's the old woman. So, Josh is possessed by the old woman that tried possessing him as a child. And we have the last scene of just Josh calling out behind her, saying, "I'm here," and puts his hand on her shoulder. She turns around and gasps. And then we get again Insidious in red with the music and stuff. Awesome. Like, really good. Like I said, a movie that I don't love. I definitely never disliked. Just not a favorite of mine, or nothing I ever went crazy for. But again, like I said, I really enjoyed it a lot more on this like third or fourth rewatch. And I'll definitely be doing the sequels because I'm very interested in seeing how I feel about them. Because I don't think I've seen them since they came out. So at least like 5 years or something like that I've seen the sequels to this movie. But I'm actually interested in seeing how I feel about rewatching them. Because I remember liking The Last Key, the one that Winnell directed. It was The Last Key you directed. Yeah, it was The Last Key. And really liked that one. And I'm excited to go back and see how I feel about the rest of them. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll have more reviews up. I'm busy tonight, but I'll probably have 3 or 4 up tomorrow. All right, thanks guys. Take care.